So, you want to know what it's like to be a master magician? What it's like to be the great John Degas Fromage? What it feels like to be the one and only Artful? Well, take a seat, my friend, and listen well. Hello, ladies and gents. Never Prosper here, and in this video, I'll show you what it feels like to play Artful, and give you some tips and tricks along the way. Now then, without further ado, let the show begin. Most likely, people first pick up Artful when they're new to the game, since he is the second cheapest killer besides Badware, costing only 700 player points. So, you grab the Frenchmen like the Germans in the 40s, and jump into your first killer round. And what the hell am I doing? The one mistake I see every Artful do is not reading his ability. Just like trying to operate a deep fryer without instructions, it doesn't go well. Sadly, this is where most people drop Artful. One bad game and they just brush him off as a bad killer. But, for those who push past the first round and continue to go deeper, they start to understand the true power of the friend. Artful's base stats aren't great. He has 680 HP and only a whopping 90 stamina. Someone get this man an inhaler, please! He has less stamina than most civilians and fights Hot Dog and Revolver, so he needs his abilities to even stand a chance against most civs with a brain cell. Artful has 4 abilities: Swing, Implement, Copyright, and Repurpose. Swing is your standard attack. It does 20 damage and can kill a normal survivor in 5 hits. It's going to be your main DPS option, and the only really reliable one. Implement is where the Trapper playstyle comes into play. He has a small windup before placing down a wall. The wall has 50 health and will slowly lose health over time. The rate of health depleting faster the less civilians there are, and has a 15-second cooldown. This is Artful's main trapping ability. With this you can hurt civilians where you want them to go and block off major looping spots. And since there is no limit to the amount of walls you can have, it's great for making kill zones. Kill zones are areas you set up so survivors can't escape. An example of a great kill zone is the area behind the church on Grandma's backyard. You can walk through your walls and create openings for civs to escape. Additionally, cloak civilians can completely nullify your walls and allow others to escape, so make sure you target them first so it's easier to kill the others. Copyright is Artful's catch-up tool. After a short wind-up, you'll place down a music box that slows the closest civilian while also highlighting them. Music boxes can be within 50 studs of each other, and you can only have 2 available at a time. It has 150 HP and loses 0.25 health every tick. Music box is a unique tool. While not being as good for stopping civilians like a wall, it can force them to take other paths or push through the slowness. and also have their location revealed. The biggest downside about copyright is only be able to have 2 music boxes. Unlike Killjoy's bombs, if you try to create a third, it won't destroy the oldest one. So you need to be selective of where you place your music boxes, and the only way to get rid of old music boxes is Artful's last and most important ability. Repurpose is Artful's X factor. He reaches forward and pockets whatever in front of him. He gains a new ability depending on what he pockets. If he pockets a wall, he gains a throwable brick that does 15 damage, and causes civilians to trip if they're far enough. If he pockets a music box, he gains a temporary speed boost for 7 seconds, and lastly, he can store a civilian? If he stores a civ, he can create a puppet that has 50 HP. The puppet will slowly float towards the nearest civ and deal 15 damage on contact. Repurpose is the key on how to get the most out of Artful. It's basically a whole new moveset for him. It unlocks a range ability that can also be used for combos and catching up to survivors, a speed boost for closing the distance, and a minion that has no cap to the amount you can have. And the move has little to none startup, so it's great for punishing a failed block, punch, or taunt, allowing you to hit a free M1 and gain a puppet along with it, or deal another 15 damage with a brick. Alright, that was a lot. This section of the script took forever. But mastering each of these abilities is key to being good at Artful. Knowing where to place your walls and music boxes, repurposing the right tools at the right time, and always thinking one step ahead. In Die of Death, there are several maps and special rounds, each of them having their own different effects and different variables you have to consider while playing Artful. We'll start with the maps first, since Artful is heavily map dependent. I'll go over each map from worst to best for Artful, starting with the worst map in the game, Glass Houses. I won't have Artful gameplay for each of the maps, mostly just because I don't want to put myself through the torture of playing Artful on Glass Houses. But anyways, I hate this map. Every killer does. But it is especially horrible as Artful, since its large open area prevents Artful from properly using his walls. Not to mention the stamina disadvantage is very easy to exploit on this map. I'm honestly glad it's getting removed soon. Up next is Temple. This map isn't nearly as bad as Glass Houses, but isn't the best either. It has the same issues of not having good wall spots, so you're gonna have to heavily rely on your music boxes for this one. And it is almost impossible to get a kill before the ball drops, removing the bridges and the popular looping spots. Tundra Trench. This map is okay. Very much a middle point. Not many wall spots, but the small map size makes up for it. Just know where to place your music boxes. Primarily the bridge and the corner next to the staircase. Baseplate. Now we get to some good maps. Baseplate is good for Artful due to the 2 bridges that connect 2 halves of the map. One of them is very easy to wall off, while the other is covered in water that slows down civilians. Combine that with the music box, and that civilian isn't going anywhere. Grandma's Backyard. I like this map because of the easy kill box. It has several dead ends you can force survivors into. While most killers struggle with the loops on this map, Artful makes it irrelevant with his music boxes. Teapot Palace. This is my personal favorite map because of the great wall spots, and I love the LMS theme. But Artful is a menace on this map. If you know what you're doing with the walls, you can block off civs anywhere. The only issue is the beginning when the teapot bridge is open allowing for looping, but once he moves, it gets a lot easier. Last but not least, Roblox HQ. Take everything I said about Teapot Palace and make it even better. This map was made for Artful. There are so many kill zones on this map, it's insane. If you're going against an Artful with half a brain cell, you're cooked. Now then, Die of Death also has special rounds, each of them with their own gimmick that heavily changes how you play. There are 5 in total: One Bounce, Double Trouble, Gunslinger, Evil Scary, and Die Nation. Starting with One Bounce. As Artful, you can easily trap the Super Civ and allow your other killers to get loads of damage in. Your priority shouldn't be damage, it should be cornering and trapping the Civ so you can force them to your killer teammates with better damage options. Double Trouble is my favorite special round as Artful, because he works well with every killer. Just like One Bounce, your main focus isn't damage, but hurting survivors to your killer teammate. If you have Killjoy or another Artful, you can trap civs with ease no matter the map. If it's someone like Pursuer or Harkin, you can funnel civs towards them, allowing them to do damage and prevent them from getting looped. Gunslinger. I'm gonna be honest, you're cooked. Gunslinger is already a hard game mode for killers, But put that with Artful, who only has 680 HP, and all of his abilities have heavy startup lag, you're not making out alive unless the civilian team is actually brain dead. Evil's scary. This game mode can be either really fun or hell on earth. It all depends on Big Guy's mood. He can either focus you the entire round and make you hate your life, or you can trap civilians in a room with him and watch as the pitbull rips them to shreds. Dination. Fortnite. Dination is a funny game mode. You don't have a lot of the abilities and puppets just don't work. You really need to think outside the box. So, Fortnite. Well, besides that, there isn't much else to Artful. I mean, hey, who's playing that music? They mocked me, called me a fraud. I, the great Artful, a fraud. I showed them my art, and they threw bananas at me. But I showed them all. Showtime. Called the biggest civilian-sided LMS. Isn't actually that bad. Alright, look, I'm gonna be honest. Everyone complaining about the LMS being too hard, you're just bad. Showtime starts when the killer is an Artful and the last civilian is the banana peel ability. The timer is set to 130, and the banana peel cooldown is set to 1 second, and the bananas no longer knock you down, but instead deal 20 damage. But don't worry, Artful also gets a buff. He gets 170 max stamina along with a speed boost. Sure, the banana peels deal knockback, but unless they hit every shot like a TF2 bot sniper, it will barely do anything. The biggest issue, I think, for Artful players is they keep thinking like an Artful. In reality, you need to think like a pursuer. You have 170 stamina. Use it! The only thing you need to do is rush them down and beat them to death for daring to mock the great Jean de Gaulle fromage. Die, you potassium pestilence! Sorry about that, folks. I got a bit off topic, but some tips for Showtime. Repurpose either a music box or a wall. A music box to make you go even faster and make catching up easier, or use the wall to knock the civ down and prevent them from using the banana and allow yourself to catch up along with dealing damage. You only need to hit them 5 times, at most 7 if they're using the hot dog ability. But even then, they'll have less stamina than you. Showtime is my second favorite LMS, and isn't nearly as bad as people make it out to be. I've only lost twice as Artful, both times is when I was still learning the character. But with all these numbers and tips, I've honestly kind of forgotten what this video was supposed to be about. I don't just need you to know how to be good at Artful. I need you to understand how it feels to play Artful. Playing Artful is a game of chess, knowing where to place your wall, when to push your advantage, knowing which pieces to take first. Once you've mastered Artful, you'll reach a state of total max control that none can survive. So, how does it actually feel to play Artful? It's the plan being perfectly executed. It's the show going perfectly. It's the greatest feeling in the world. It's great!